Which music?
Introduction.
We don't have introduction music. We can just have the ambiance of Wizzy in the background.
Yeah.
So awesome. We have started. It is a little bit early, but that's okay. So hi everyone, welcome to Chaos Theory's second live stream, and we're really excited to get this started. I'd actually like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal and the Darkinjung people. And we'd like to recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and cultures, and we pay respects to the elders of the past, present and emerging. So my name's Clarisse, I'm the marketing specialist for Chaos Theory, and today I'm joined by our senior game designer Dean and our junior developer Gabriella. And so we're going to have a really interesting stream today, and we're going to be playing one of our educational games. So that's Working with Water. And this game we developed alongside Central Coast Council. It's a really fun way for players to learn more about the challenges of water management, so for a growing community. And so we'll just be having a chat today about the development, the design, a little bit about the art and some challenges along the way, and as well as what it takes to make an educational game, pretty much. So, and we also have some trivia along the way, so feel free to join in. And so, yeah, we'll get right into it. And I'll be playing today. I think from what I know that there's going to be a tutorial. We'll be listening, but feel free, Dean, Gabriella, to jump in if there's anything really special coming up. But yeah, so let me see.
What is the camera? Is it this glowing thing?
This glowing thing, yeah.
Yeah, the sun. It's pretty cool to see a few people have already jumped in. We started a bit early.
Yeah, it's awesome. Irreverent Pixel. Is that Dom? I know Dom sits out there. Hi Dom. So we're just gonna get the gameplay. Okay. So I will start us off with good. So let's turn on. I'm gonna turn on the desktop audio. Tell us if it's too loud, but we'll see how we go.
Hello, I'm Wizzy. I'm here to help you look after the Central Coast water supply system.
This looks really exciting. So just for people out there, I haven't played this. I played it before at lightning speed a very long time ago. I don't think it was launched yet, so this is all very new to me and very exciting.
Yeah, something I think is exciting is just the fact that this is this area of map is based on the Central Coast.
Yes.
In Australia, so a bunch of the kids and people playing this game, it'll look very familiar to them.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, new question already right off the bat, but what does it take to map this? How accurate is this? Is it accurate? Pretty accurate? Yeah.
It is more, so accuracy, interesting word. I'd say it's kind of stylized.
Yep, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so really, making sure that we're capturing the parts that are important.
Yes.
But ultimately, we need to be conveying information and making a game that makes sense.
Yes.
So, I mean, one obvious thing, if we look at the width of those rivers, it's probably pretty easy to imagine that river isn't actually as wide as half of the city.
Yep.
But yeah, for the sake of gameplay and helping people understand, we make some little changes like that.
Oh, awesome. Yep.
So it's good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know that where we place like the different pumps and reservoirs that are audio on the map is in relation to where they are real life.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
that's worth mentioning as well. The infrastructure is
Yeah, that's
correct.
it. Awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's begin.
Let's take a look at the Central Coast. Click and drag the map to move around. Use the scroll wheel on. We already have a basic water supply system, but I think you can do much better. Do these buildings look familiar? We'll find out more next.
Do we know who did the voice of Wizzy?
It was supplied by client.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. It's such a cute voice. It's a combination of American accent and Australian accent, and it's funny it comes out at times. But yeah.
No, it's really good. Working with the Central Coast, and the people that obviously asked us to build this game were super engaged. One of the blokes involved normally spends a lot of time going around to classrooms and helping kids learn this stuff. And
very good.
that's why it's got his Wizzy Boy stamp. But it's kind of exciting when people are like, we're always looking for really cool ways to engage people with this content.
Yes.
It's great to be able to build games. And offer something really cool.
Yeah. And sorry, did you mention if is this something that Central Coast Council already had, Wizzy, or?
Yeah. So Wizzy was one of their assets, one of their characters.
Okay.
And wasn't intended to be in the game, but kind of towards the end, they went, "Oh, it's kind of makes obvious sense. We've already got this great character. Let's get him in there." He or she. And
awesome.
Untreated water that is collected from rain runoff, rivers, and streams is stored in dams. This water, along with groundwater extraction, needs to be treated before you can drink it.
Sorry about that. There must have been a little bit of an echo. But okay, so this is pretty much what the whole game is about. Awesome. Alright.
Yeah, so have you learned a lot just by staring at that one screen?
It is a lot of info all at once.
Open up your textbook.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than opening up a textbook, actually, for me.
At least there's some nice colours there. But yeah, so I think this is a great kind of example of all the kind of concepts and things we want to be covering in this.
Yeah.
And so you look at it traditionally and you might say, okay, it's easy enough to just put that information in front of someone, but they might not engage with it.
No,
so the experience you're about to embark on is going to let you know what these things are.
Yes.
And probably more importantly, what they do. And I guess we'll get to see more of that.
Cool, yeah. Nice. And
Luckily, the water panel shows us how much water we have in our connected dams and how much water we're capturing each day.
And Jamie, do you want to, as I'm going through this tutorial, I'll just go through this so no one has to sit through through all of this information, but did you want to talk about your role in working with water, about being the lead designer?
Yeah. Lead designer. So, I mean, that really means probably a great number of things. Designing the game, the way that I I mean, if you get to pick to listen to me talk all Wizzy, I'd pick Wizzy. But,
we'll hear it later. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, so on an educational project like this,
Yes.
As far as game design goes, I kind of see my role as really trying to find the ways that you would normally traditionally teach this information.
Absolutely.
Just because, we're a young and exciting company and we know how to make games. Doesn't mean that these problems we're solving, turned up yesterday.
No, that's
There have been problems for a long time that people have been learning about and have some, very valid methods of teaching about.
Mm-hmm.
So often it's starting to understand, what came before us.
Yes.
And then we are the expert with games and educational games.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing those extra tools that we have and ways that we can solve a problem that are really cool. Lots of client engagement, understanding that, we are not the experts on how water works,
Yes.
but we need to kind of become those.
Yeah.
It's so maybe it's a disadvantage if you've never engaged with stuff before and having a bit of a crash course, but on the other hand, it's like a great advantage because imagining, students coming to this content, they've never understood it before either.
Yes.
So kind of putting yourself in the role of the student. Learning this stuff so that you're able to teach it is a bit of the game piece.
Yeah.
Games are great. We all know that. Speaking about Wizzy and speaking about what Central Coast were doing, which was going around into classes, really engaging kids, maybe bringing Wizzy along and putting on a fun voice. They probably did a really great job of teaching some of this content, but the problem is that you need, kids in a classroom. You need to have one person going to every 30 kids, and that costs a lot and it's really difficult. So being able to take on projects like this are great because we build it once. We build something we're really happy with. We make sure it's a nice quality experience. And then, as you can see, you're playing it now. We just put it out into the world. And so from the client's perspective, a really valuable resource that lots of different people will be able to use.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like that'll, exactly what you said, will definitely transcend just being a game. It can also be, it can also be training or even expanded if the client would want to as well into other things. And I mean, leading into that, this is also part of the Central Coast Council's Love Water campaign. I'm pretty sure Sydney has a similar one as well. And so, just in case people don't know, the Love Water campaign is pretty much a promise that there'll be plenty of water for the Central Coast's future. So it's a commitment to use less than 150 litres per person per day. And I think the average per person is 180 litres per day. So that is removing at least 3 buckets of water per day. And from what I know, it is like what you said, they would use, obviously there would be restrictions, and there would also be tips online, and they would offer water saving techniques, just small behavioral things that lead to big change. But I think games also fits into that campaign in some sort, also not only teaching kids but also as a really fun way of learning how this all impacts their environment. So it is really it fits like nice snugly into that campaign. Treatment plan start. Ooh, okay, building time. Ooh. Okay, so click and drag. And how about you, Gabriella? As I'm doing this, did you want to speak about how you fit into the development of working with water?
So I was one of the developers on working with water. We had another person called Pete who isn't with us anymore, but
Just moved on to new things, not
yeah.
not
Oh
moved
no,
on.
yeah. I forgot the very.
Sorry, Pete.
He's not working.
That's all good.
But I basically, so most of the like UI elements you see, so like the challenges in the top corner and the little cute smiley face emojis popping up over the towns, which hopefully don't turn sad.
Oh no.
I did a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So basically integrating the UI systems that the designers have made.
That's fantastic.
Make
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's see, enter. Alright, nice. So yeah, if I don't have anything else to do, I can just end my turn and pretty much get on with saving the community.
You get more project points every time.
Okay, cool. Nice. Oh, and there's like a report as well.
Yeah, so something that we wanted to
Yeah.
highlight is the way that the Central Coast is growing and changing over time. So making sure that, as part of the fun game design challenge to solve,
Yeah.
we'd like to show some kind of change over time.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's not a game that's all happening in 1 year. And we've landed on, I think, this 16-year window.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
2036.
Yes.
Yep. It's not a game about maths, it's a game about
Quick maths. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
and smiling faces so far, so that's good.
Keep up the smiley face. Pump station is not safe to run. Maintenance. Okay.
Yeah, so randomly after each turn,
Yeah.
there'll be maintenance emergencies or
Okay.
bushfire might appear, like different natural disasters or issues with the buildings that you have to allocate your project points and decide whether or not what you think is more important depending on.
All right.
Yeah, and that's a framework talking about things that that we see in this game that we actually see in a lot of chaos theory games.
Yes.
A lot of what we try to do is create like meaningful experiences.
Yeah.
If it's not meaningful, it's not something you can connect with. People aren't really engaged in it.
Yes.
And I kind of find this doubly important when it comes to educational because it's so easy to just go, our job is to just throw the information at you. Hey, we're here to learn about what weirs are. We're here to learn about what dams are. Let's just tell you what it is. We really flip that on its head at chaos theory. So we never sort of step out and say, today you're going to learn. Instead, we step out and what have we got in this example? We have a maintenance emergency as a challenge.
An emergency.
We'll see as you continue moving through turns, we'll see some other challenges pop up. Or there's an influx of tourists, which means that there's more people, which means that there's more water being used. So we never start with the today you're going to learn. We start with that. Here's a really exciting, interesting challenge or problem.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, these little happy faces are starting to turn sad. So how would you go to solve that? And then we kind of see it as our responsibility to get out of the player's way. Let them solve that problem and experiment and be in a safe environment where, they feel safe to experiment. But then be there on the other end to offer that little bit of framework and feedback where we can say, okay, that was the wrong decision, or we can say, you know, that was the correct decision.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, cool. And does this, is there any like adjoining content with this? Do they offer like homework and assignments for this, you know, at the moment?
I wonder if you know the answer.
Yeah, no, I should double check, but no, it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
If this was someone's, you know, they were to write a report or to use the report at the end of the yearly like summary, it would be really cool to include in your assignment. It's being able to say that you were able to solve these problems.
Yeah, well, what was, okay, class, everyone's at 2036 now. Like, how did your Central Coast look?
That's it.
We can all have a conversation about that. And this is the thing that I love about games as well is, there's really flexible ways to use them. You can create one experience and get a lot of different things out of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's sometimes when people look at, like, I think if you design a good game, you kind of make sure that people aren't wasting their time with it. But there are games you can look at and rightfully you might scratch your head and say, okay, is anyone actually learning from this? Are they just spending their time? What about the kid who goes through and does everything wrong on purpose? And, you know, there are people whose heads are wired that way and that's fine.
Yeah.
But as part of as you know, if you put that in your classroom, it's perfectly fine for the kid to stand up and say, okay, I built this, this, and this, and everything went terrible. Okay, well, class, how do we feel about that? Who got a different outcome?
Yeah.
And you can still get valuable learning, good moments of reflection out of that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. My demand's going on. Oh,
It might be a lesson.
Yeah, new challenge. So people are using more water. Demand is increasing. Increasing water production. Okay, to meet. So, and okay, so it takes a few turns for my water treatment plant to get going. Okay.
Yeah, and we talk about games being most useful as tools for learning rather than tools for teaching. So like you see here, you've just discovered, it was great that you articulated that.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is going to take a few turns to create.
Yeah.
You know, these things don't happen overnight. If I need to make a decision based on changing trends,
Yes.
well, I need to make that decision ahead of time.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, and so allowing you to stumble upon that, and maybe you stumble on it by, oh, geez, I wish I did this a little bit sooner. Next time I will. But those are the kind of environments we like to create in games, where, you know, no one is saying, here's what's right, here's what's wrong, but you get to experiment and you get to see the consequence of those decisions and learn.
Yeah, so that's really many options. And I'm assuming that there is, would you say that there's right and wrong for kids? I mean, it's all about learning essentially, but you got to have them on the right path.
Yeah, there needs to be a scaffolded environment. You need to be, directing your players. And it's really, for me, it's about like probably two things, like immediacy of feedback and like clarity of consequences. You know, we talk about wanting to make meaningful experiences, and part of that is the like lovey-feely, meaningful in a sense that I'm emotionally attached and connected with things, but also meaningful in a sense that I understand this. I'm not just making random decisions and random stuff is happening.
Like me. I'm trying to read and listen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense.
So this, I think this is an experience where we expect that within the kind of environment that kids are playing it, they might run through this a couple of times as a game. So that frees you up to being more comfortable with, it's more of a sandbox. You might even say, so we've got this challenge framework in there, which like adds some engagement and gives you some definitive goals.
Yeah.
But kind of absent that, it's more of a sandbox where you've got a city, you've got people. It's up to you. Do you want to see everyone, you know, be real thirsty? Hopefully that's not your goal, but you know, if that's the future you wish to see, you know, that you've certainly got that within your power.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm moving along really slowly. There's so much. I'm like overstimulated. There's so much I want to see. Okay, cool. Any water usage? Do I have enough? I think when I first played this a very long time ago, I ran out of these of these project points, and I was like, no. So I'm trying to hoard them a little bit so I find what I need. I don't know if it's the same. Just turn. I don't think I did well on this turn, but we'll keep going. I'll get more project points. More project points needed.
Whoa. So your traded supply is going down. That suggests to me that something probably needs maintenance applied to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, awesome. Fail stage 4 science. Okay, green. Okay, cool. I'm gonna repeat them. Okay, so these are like disasters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's meet health standards maintained. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm gonna repeat. Okay. Alright. Okay. So, I mean, in your opinion, I mean, I'm pretty sure as game developers and designers, it'd be a very long list. But in regards to working with water, what is it that games do so well for like in teaching and learning?
Lots of things.
Yeah, there's many things.
I guess it's like, well, I guess especially working with water, it's bringing real life things into an environment that's not only entertaining, but it's also going to educate you.
Yeah, that's it.
Like you've been talking about. But yeah, I feel like you can learn and engage a lot more with a game rather than just having a textbook in front of you. Like before, you could just look at that diagram of how all the buildings connect to be like, oh, okay, cool. But then to actually have the interaction, understanding of actually doing it all in practice, I think teaches you a bit more than just looking at it.
And I think it comes from film or something, but the show don't tell. And in games, I don't know what the analogy is, but you just take that further. Like it's not show, it's kind of play, don't show. You as the player get to discover this. No one needs to tell you any of it. You can engage in the systems and things like that.
Yeah.
If you just want to hit the X button on there or make a selection here, even the simplest little things, right? The fact that we have, if you return to the main screen, the top right button in the center, the water drop with the arrows, that will take us back to this. Okay, wonderful. We're looking at all these things. We've got some little static arrows there that I guess are, indicating what I assume it's the flow of water direction.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of obvious, at least to me. There might be people out there who aren't really understanding what's on display here.
Yeah.
So hit that X button again.
Yeah.
Simplest little things, these moving arrows.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So, you talk about the benefits of games and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But even those small little granular things where it's like, oh, we would like to show, movement of direction, we've got the ability to animate those things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and the other one I love, and it's not a really exciting point, but the scalability of games.
Yes.
Tried to express that earlier. You can have one person whose job it is to go into one school at a time and spend, maybe you can get to 2 schools in one day, or you can build a game for the same as you would probably pay that person for a year. And that's a resource you have that can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And that was part of the client. He was quite excited that obviously we're making a project that's going to be relevant to the people in their area. It's going to be quite meaningful to the people in their area because those little smiling faces we're seeing, like maybe that's you and your neighbour, all of these dams and infrastructure things that are recognisable.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why that client can't then go and be sharing this elsewhere in the world because it is a great resource.
Yeah.
And then everyone's happy and everyone gets to be proud of their part in creating something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think it's nice with education games because I feel like it invites children to work more together rather than just singularly on like homework or something. So it has that collaborative element as well too.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many benefits to digital interactive content in an educational context.
Yeah.
I love it as well.
You're sad
I'm doing
now.
bad.
You need your water treatment plant.
I know, that's why I don't want to make another one just in case it's going to take too long. New challenge. Okay, alright, let's do better. The population growing, yes, I know. Oh my goodness, I know. I'll get there. Okay. So hasn't it explained what is it? The green, sorry, the U. So obviously to meet water production, we need to be getting the water treatment.
So if you look on
Okay.
the side of the water element, you can
okay.
sort of notice that the UI icons on there
Yeah,
sort
nice.
of meant to indicate to the player like what colours match what. So the green ones are for untreated water,
Yeah,
and whether or not that's untreated water that's in storage or that's being captured.
Yeah.
And then the same with the treated, whether or not it's being produced, which is, I think I remember the water that's given to the people. And then the treated that's in storage, so untreated becomes treated.
Yeah. Okay. Alright. That makes more sense. That's why I'm like, oh no, I'm failing everyone. Yeah, I mean, have you guys, from what I know, you worked on, well, it's called Trees Against the Wind now, our Veil project. So is there similarities? I mean, that's also an educational game.
Yeah, so that's a game about for a client in America, North Dakota, if I'm correct.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's a game that lives in a museum. It's played on a big interactive touchscreen, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah.
So part of what they deal with is a lot of farming,
Yes.
and so farming is part of their curriculum. And you might imagine that kids who live up there engage with farming a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game to teach you about something called windbreaks, which is just trees. If you plant a bunch of trees in a row,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise, the wind can't get through them and destroy your crops or upset your animals on the other side.
Yeah.
So similarities,
Yeah.
very much so. This framework of challenges. So we don't set out and say, hey kids, today we're going to learn about trees and they block wind. And the kid goes, oh, I don't care about trees blocking wind.
Yeah.
We go, hey kids, look at all these cows huddled in a corner. They look so cold. Oh, why have they got sad faces? And the kids go, oh, I don't want the cows to have sad faces.
No,
I want
you
to make
don't.
these cows look happy. Okay, well, how would you go about that? So yeah, it's that same framework of, we engage you with what's, and it's our job too, and we succeed and we fail, but to create these meaningful scenarios and pose problems that just people naturally are drawn to wanting to solve.
Yes.
And then we just lay it out in front of you, your toolkit, and you
Yes.
say, this one looks like a nail, I'll grab the hammer.
Fantastic.
And
Yeah.
we say, then it's up to us to make sure that a smile goes on that cow's face when you put your tree in the right spot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I played Veil for a little bit, and it felt like, I don't know why I compare everything to Animal Crossing, but I felt like more decorating than I wanted to save the poor cows. So from my mentality, but this it's bushfire season. Oh, no, that's something. Can I actually
Fine.
do anything about the bushfires? No, I just have to increase the treated water because we're running out.
I think it looked like one of your treated water systems
It's
is in the red, just down a little lower.
this one.
Yeah. Maybe maintain.
Yeah. I keep on looking at that. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
That might help.
Definitely help. just so people know, I am playing on a big screen and I have that eyesight. So if I'm missing things, call it out. I'm reading like everything that's big and these little ones I keep forgetting. So okay, cool. And
Can you zoom in and out?
I can.
How far out can we go?
Oh, that's pretty much as much as you guys like. Anyway, I think I should try my first trivia question, which might be
Okay.
very interesting if people wanted to join in from the viewers. And no peeking. Might be. We'll start off actually really easy. We'll do two, and I'll start off easy and hopefully it's like E4 science. But what are the two elements that make up water?
The element of surprise. Hydrogen and oxygen.
Yay! Yeah, that's correct. So I was like, whoa.
Out of my black, I was like oxygen and
And right. Yeah, so that's where H2O comes from. So 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. And this one actually sounds a little bit morbid, but a person can live for about a month without food. But how long can humans live without water, depending on the circumstances, approximately?
Isn't it like 3 days?
So 3 days without water, 3 days without food. Yeah, 3 weeks without food.
3 days.
Apparently it's a week, but it does depend on the circumstance. I don't think I'd survive 3 days without water, so I think I would be 3 days, and definitely not food. So, okay, sorry, and everything looks okay. I don't really have enough to be changing anything at the moment, and I think by next turn I'll have my water treatment. It's not even.
It's spiking.
I'm doing it. It's done.
And
Yeah.
fire season's over.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I was panicking.
2019's over. We're in 2020 now.
Pump station
What are
going.
these little arrows that are drifting?
Which one?
These ones are great. They,
Big one?
yeah.
They're going elsewhere. The pump station to the right.
Is it meant to be showing that water can not only go down that way but also up in the other
Oh my
way?
god.
I remember Pete worked on these systems of making the different buildings and everything, but it was one of our probably biggest challenges from the development team, which was trying to make the buildings as abstract as possible so that it was really easy for designers to come in and add all of the specific variables and settings on the different buildings, and it not being too complicated and not all the buildings having very specific information.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah,
Okay.
Pete made an amazing script. So basically all the buildings all have the exact same information and only read the relevant information that the designers put into them.
Okay.
So like different buildings can't pass buildings to other certain buildings and stuff like that. And yeah, that was a very cool challenge that we overcame.
Yeah.
Go
Respect for Pete.
Respect for Pete.
And
I think all of those animations as well are code.
Oh, okay. Oh,
The
really?
arrows, yeah.
Oh, nice. And I mean, did you have any other challenges in this game? That you and Pete have anything?
I would say the biggest one was the buildings and taking that diagram of which buildings can talk to what and what different types of water they can have, and making
Okay.
it so that it not only made sense from a design perspective but also from a tech architecture perspective.
That's it.
I'd say that was probably the biggest challenge. It went
Okay.
through a few iterations, but we got there.
United treatment plant. Oh, I already got a lot of them. Anyway. Everything's getting cramped, Nick Gosford, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's see. Tourists, and that would definitely be a real challenge in Central Coast. Tourist spots. Yay. And I think you did mention it earlier, putting yourselves in the shoes of the students, and there's a lot of learning for you guys because you're not water experts or anything like that. But what is the general learning process for developers and designers? I mean, you guys have new subject matter pretty much every new project, and what's it like learning all about water? Is it a lot of hand-holding from the client, or do you do your own research, or you leave that up to our directors to always tell you what to do? I have no idea, just because so it's I know it would take up a lot of time to learn every little nuance about having your own water system. So what's it like, all the new subjects all the time?
Can be daunting and a lot to take in at once, and
That's
think
it.
about how to
Yeah.
make this work
Yeah.
in code and make it work the way that the client but also that the designers want it to.
That's it.
And also maybe sometimes flagging if something isn't going to work the way they want it.
Yes.
But usually it is, I would say, a producer or a designer telling us, oh, this is how the water system works, and giving that to you, and then you having to try wrap your head around it,
yeah.
and then coming back to the designers and saying, okay, this is how I think I understand it. Is this correct? And they either tell you, no, but this is how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
that's right. No.
Someone says no. Yeah. So, and it's I don't know. There's a fair bit of responsibility there as well, because that sounds a lot like a game of telephones, where you know, client might express to you the important things, and then you as producer or designer is then expressing to the team the important things. We're saying, well, what if we change this? We can do it a lot more efficiently.
Yes.
And so a lot of back and forth there.
Yeah.
I like to do my own research as much as possible.
Yes.
Very often, you know, clients will give you a whole bunch of background reading and stuff, which is really great. And then I normally just act like the naive fool who's not afraid to ask stupid questions, because that's the best way. Like if you you know, use your voice, say something. If you say something that someone else thinks is silly, they will very quickly let you know. So don't be afraid to just phrase that stuff, and people will correct you. And that's a really efficient way of getting stronger understanding.
Yeah, that's definitely something I learned with this project in particular. It's just that, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're not understanding a system, like nobody's going to be angry at you if you're trying to implement something and you're not entirely sure what it's meant to be. If you ask, obviously you're going to do a better job than if you just tried to smash the thing in.
I mean, handling a water system like this is not really. It's not a secret. You're not on a big government project and doing something that's like top secret. So you are able to do your own research at any time, but it is also really helpful to have the right people.
Yeah, well, and it's great to. That's been actually something that's consistently exciting about working with chaos theory. I don't think there's been one experience where we haven't had a client that's super engaged. Plenty of times in my life I've worked with clients who've not been super engaged, but we've had a really lucky run here.
Yeah.
Where get on the phone about this water stuff, and you've got invitations to come up and see the dam. We're going out next week, and just people who are willing to chew your ear off, because this is their lives, stuff they love, so they're happy to tell you about it.
Yeah, that's it. That's cool. Okay, I needed to move on to a next turn because I needed more project points. Yes, really trying to make me manage my project points. I need project points. Okay, so I need. Okay, that makes sense. I have one trivia that I actually really wanted to ask, see if anyone actually knows the answer. Okay. So how much of the world's fresh water is actually safe and available to drink?
A disappointingly small amount is my guess.
That's the
Under 10.
way. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But do you know the percentage?
It's between 7 and 3%.
It's actually 1%.
Really?
Yeah. So we have only the 3% of the world's so only 3% of the world's water is fresh water, and then of that, the 1% is actually drinkable. So there's a lot of processes we need to be taking to treat the water.
How much of that water does Coca-Cola own?
Oh man, I should have added that in my trivia.
The 2% that is drinkable.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you
even-
can't just put things willy-nilly anywhere. It has to
No,
be
that's
all
right.
connected.
Yeah.
And
even little affordances like that. So you can see, obviously, when this is constructed, we get the nice little arrow showing the movement of water, because that's important.
yes,
But using that same system when you come to place it down,
Yeah.
to give you as the player some idea of what's about to happen, what is this going to connect to.
yeah. And I mean, on that subject as well, it's really interesting. All big coincidence. I was at a farm stay this weekend, and when I had gotten there, it was called Lower Mangrove, and I was like, why does that sound really familiar? And we were going fishing on Mangrove Creek, and I was like, oh my god, it's in this game.
Been here before.
So I was actually like, well, roughly staying somewhere here, because we stayed on a farm that was pretty the rains are in that. We're staying on a farm where the creek was intersecting another creek. So roughly around there, I know it's not completely accurate, but it was just a really, really cool coincidence because all the kind of fish we were getting all like originated from pretty much all you can't fish at the dam. But yeah, it's just really cool to say that. And I brought a little souvenir from there as well. This is actually from Mangrove Creek. It's a little tiny ecosystem that I made with the dirt, and it's still it was pouring rain there, so.
Yeah.
So it is, it has some moss, some weeds, as well as some grass. I hope I didn't grab any little guys accidentally. I'm very sorry taking you away from your home, but yeah, we've brought a little bit of the Central Coast with us, so which is really cool, just so people can see that. But it's always really interesting to see, because when I was there, it was stormy, and it was but the days before we were kayaking, it was really fun. So to know that it all kind of like flows down into a lot of places I've been, I think a lot of people have been around in the Central Coast, to see it all work in kind of a like bird's eye view, like a game, and seeing how important it is to get everything working. And I think the Central Coast has on their website like a live view of the percentage that's left, the percentage of water that's left. So there's always the whole community knows how much water is left in I think the Mangrove Creek Dam is their main dam at the moment. So it's really interesting. I think it's at like 70% at the moment. It's gone up a little bit, thank God, because of last year's drought as well. So they're always trying to keep their community, up to date on what's happening with their dams, etc. So it's good, and it was really nice to be there. I recommend people go to the farm stay there, and it's really a weird coincidence that we're playing this game at the same time. I just didn't put the dots together. That's really cool.
We should have a little smiley face for where it is. Clarisse is here.
Oh no! Okay, all right. I need to do better. Need more project points. No, it's push button.
Not again.
Not again. Okay, I have another trivia. Yeah, another trivia point. Yeah. I'm not keeping track, so maybe I should do prizes next time. People who get good scores. So true or false? Does water regulate the Earth's temperature? Does bodies of water regulate our temperature?
Yes, everything in some sense. Well, I mean, yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just
And
the
that's
temperature
it also,
regulator.
I mean, water itself just regulates temperature. That's the reason why when you have the flu, you drink lots of water to bring your temperature down. That's really interesting. But yes, our bodies of water regulate the Earth's temperature. Okay. So, interesting. Oh, that's so unfair. So much drama. Okay. Oh, okay. And I think both of you can talk about this as well, but I know that Gabriella, you've been here, you've been at Chaos Theory 3 years, 2.5 years. I mean, how does this game pretty much fit into or align with Chaos Theory's vision?
I mean, Chaos Theory Games specializes in games for change. It's something that we're really passionate about, and it really aligns with our vision.
Yeah.
And even everybody that works here is very passionate about making games that not only entertain but have an underlying message that's, I guess, important.
Yeah, that's it.
And we also, as like a company, not only make games, but we also do things to impact that in real life. So like when we worked on Bleached As, we partnered with Carbon Neutral. So the longer you play the game for, the more carbon you offset as you can plant trees. So that's having a real impact on helping with global warming and everything.
Yeah.
And with our recent launch of Kangazoo, we all went to the reptile park And Chaos Theory adopted a baby wombat who's not a baby anymore. But that was really cool. So I think we're all just very passionate about making games that make a difference.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not talking about the game, but I'm sure some of our viewers might be interested. Do you want to talk about some of the things we're doing around recognition and just the way we're kind of working as a team and some of the...
Yeah, so recently we use this, you've probably heard of it, this app called Slack, just to talk to each other. And recently we integrated a plugin called Evergreen, which is basically a system where you can give out seeds to other people on your team for recognition, to recognize like really good work they do.
I love this.
Just like or just things like around the office, like if somebody makes the effort to go out and get milk when the milk is low, you give them a seed. But basically those deeds that you give to people are planting seeds in real life. I think I can't remember the exact name of the charity that they plant seeds through, but they have a few different locations around the world. So it's cool that we're working with a charity that's not just Australia based, it's world based. But yeah, that's been really cool to see in our everyday work life.
Yes.
Just making a difference, giving people seeds.
It's made us more, open with each other, which is, I think, one of the values that we really wanted to embody this quarter. It ended up being just something just really wholesome to read pretty much every day.
Yeah.
It's something that you didn't realize you needed until it happened. It's not just getting your own like feedback and recognition. It's reading everyone else's. For me, is really wholesome. I love it. So so Gabriella did a really good job implementing that. So
Why not?
yeah, it was also James did help out, definitely. Shout out to James. And we they got in contact with us. Evergreen got in contact with us to tell us that the 21st, so Sunday, is World Forest Day. So if anyone out there is following us on Facebook and or any of our socials, I'll be posting some stats of how many trees that we've planted. So that's really exciting.
Like and subscribe to about that.
Subscribe, guys. So I think I'm flip-flopping. I'm actually riding a wave here, girl, for the poor residents of Central Coast.
Just thematic theming there, yeah.
Exactly. We should have had a pun competition who could pop out the most puns in like this 1 hour. So
with a few this morning, I was trying to tweet.
I saw. I was pretty good. I was like, oh.
So I would repair that. Can you run maintenance on that water treatment plant yet? Or either of those? I would run maintenance on both those plants if you can.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's just...
And now have a...
I just have... Oh, did I do the wrong one? Dang it.
Yeah, we'll blame that on you, not on
That's fine.
design or UI layout. It's silly players.
I've actually just stuffed too much in this area, too large as it was. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, if you end your turn now and have a look at how you're doing.
I'm just but actually, yeah. I mean, we talked about it earlier, which is actually great news. Oh no, which is actually, well, this is bad news, but great news is that this game is being played as part of the stage 3 and 4 curriculum and in classrooms across Central Coast, which is really exciting in the region. And what do you think would be involved in trying to roll this out in classrooms outside of the region, so across Sydney, in maybe the science or geography curriculum?
probably not very much would be involved in doing that. I'm not sure what curriculum that it's rolled into, but I mean, it's going to at the very least be a New South Wales state curriculum, or very likely it's going to be an Australian-wide curriculum. So there's absolutely no reason, apart from the fact that there's a Central Coast Council sticker on this, as we can see top right there, that maybe some other school says we don't want that to be in our classroom. Whatever. There's no reason though why any school in Australia wouldn't be able to go and have a look at this resource. You can access it in your classroom. You can get it running on your kids' laptops. You can get it running on your interactive whiteboard, which we've never tested, but I hazard to say that it's going to run amazingly, and this would be a really good experience on a touchscreen.
That would be cool.
And go for it. And I doubt there are any teachers that are listening right now. If you want to, be in touch with us and maybe Central Coast.
Yeah, that's it.
We're happy to help you use what we've made in your classroom. And just to keep talking, because apparently I'm doing that now, we make things that teachers are really smart people. Teachers are super resourceful and know how to solve problems and know how to think on their feet. So we created this with the intention that one kid will be playing it at a time on their laptop and all of that. But there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't have this running on an interactive whiteboard and have 4 kids coming up with decisions together. Or, okay, Johnny, your year is 2033. That's the one that you're going to solve. Stacey, your year's 2034.
That's it exactly.
And let teachers work with their students in their class how they want to. But we just create these flexible tools that's up to you to use and up to you to get value out of.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's really cool. Yeah, I'm glad that it's available just on browser. It's just super easy for anyone to find. And Central Coast Council has it on their website, which is great. So anyone can pretty much access this. It's on our website too. So that's the best thing about games. Again, it can just be you don't have to have a big textbook, and even with board games, and especially fun with all the board games. But yeah, that's also something you've got to order. You might lose pieces, etc. Well, this is all readily available online. If you have internet, definitely, and I'm sure it can be available offline too if possible. But yeah, that's what's really cool. So we've got about 10 minutes left. If anyone has any questions in the chat, please send them through. We're just going to keep chatting until, maybe about 10 more minutes. And this has been really fun. It's been very challenging for me as well, because
And the people at Central Coast.
Poor people at Central Coast, I'm so sorry.
They're happy now.
I saw the big spike in my treated produced water, so it's good. But I have to not let up, because now we are in a drought. So I have to make sure I'm staying consistent. Like what you were saying about how, we can roll this out in other schools, and obviously it means a lot more to the teachers and students of Central Coast. But is that relevance and that sense of familiarity important? Are the students more likely to engage better with the content just because they recognise, oh my god, Mariner, that's where my family's from, etc.? Is that important, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's a necessary component.
No, of course.
It can still derive value, but definitely. And so whether that is expressed through, at the very least, one thing that's great, kids are probably unsurprisingly super engaged and are really into stuff if you want to go and have a chat with them about it. And even just being able to say this is your area, or things one thing I love is, so something else that's really important to chaos theory is we do a lot of testing, we work through a lot of iteration, and really we want to be informing ourselves with good information before we try to solve problems. So if you can build a small version of the game and get it in front of some people, that's going to give you a much better idea how to build the rest.
That's it.
One thing that's great when you're working with kids is just being able to walk into a classroom and say, hey, who wants to be one of the first people in Australia to play this new game?
Awesome.
And they are always super keen. Okay, well, we're going to be asking you some questions and we need you to help us make this better. And they're so keen to, let you know their views and help you improve what you're making.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm almost there. At least they're happy. Treated in storage. I haven't been doing well on that. Okay. New challenge. And so it just keeps going until 2036, 2036. Still some trivia, and this one is a bit unusual. So the adult human is made up of approximately 66% water. How much percentage of water makes up a jellyfish? Gabriella's face.
Is it a trick question?
Yeah, I feel like it's either all of it or none of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna go high percent, 85.
Kind of close. It's 95. It's the same percentage of water that's in a cucumber and a tomato, I believe.
They don't even live in the ocean.
Only they do.
My brain.
It swims.
Like more water treatment plants. Oh no, where to put it?
Clearwater holding tank, I think, needs to go near a water treatment plant.
Just saw nothing.
Oh, that building. I remember this.
Maybe I have too many already going on here.
There might not be enough
Yeah,
space.
there might
Yeah,
not be enough
that's fine.
space. I think,
That's okay.
yeah, it has to go around a water treatment plant and there has to be enough room for it to fit.
Let's see. Let's intern and see how I go. I didn't do anything, but that means I get more project points.
Yoy.
Oh, I did bad. Just when I thought I was doing well. I mean, yeah, this has been really interesting. I think I need to replay this all over again, see how I go.
Yes.
I've been doing the same thing with
Get
Cambridge.
to, if you get through
If
your
I get
next
through.
turn, you should have a nice little round up in the end.
Okay, let me quickly find.
Maybe if you click on the challenge, it takes you to the building that needs it.
Well, at least I have project points for this, and then emergency. Hopefully it'll be okay.
Big year.
Video.
2 dance out of action.
Yeah, I know.
But it's this one's a lot of fun, and talking with the client, and they're like, oh yeah, and last summer this happened, and it's like, okay, write that down. That's definitely. Oh, and then the fires really upset things, do they? Okay, yeah, bushfires. Write that one down.
I mean, they're a pretty resilient community. So
Oh, yeah.
hopefully that's all good. Let me see. We'll see. Is this my last year? Where am I?
That was your last turn.
Oh no! I did very badly. But that was so fun. It was an honor to rebuild them. I need to do better. I flip-flopped
Nice.
the poor Central Coast people, and I survived. Oh my goodness, poor things. Completed projects 11. Oh wow, it gives you everything. Everything the game's been through. Futurist flop.
Yeah, and these are again great for the conversation piece. So if you are using it in an educational context, the bit that happens
Yeah.
after the game,
Yeah, that's
giving
it. That's
kids
it.
things to discuss, compare experiences.
What they can do better, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Take a quiz to see how much you learn.
Oh really? Where did that go? I don't want to suck up the page.
No, yeah, don't. That'll take us to a survey.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
Which, yeah, again, we love our surveys. We love getting information out of our users,
Yeah, that's it.
and yeah, learning what things really gel with them.
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, that's I think always really important. I mean, in addition to the kind of data that you already collect when people play this, but getting actual feedback on what people are learning and what they think about it is super important.
Because that's like we care about efficacy. We care about making
Yes.
things that work.
Yes.
And I mean, so the thing that I love about chaos theory the most is I don't think there's a studio in Australia that, like, yes, there are studios that make educational content.
Yeah.
Right? There are studios that make really high quality games. I've not seen a studio in Australia that has such a focus on educational games and like meaningful content that is high quality.
Yeah.
And that's what chaos theory really brings.
Yeah.
And so the job doesn't end with, hey, we made a game that looks pretty and is fun and the client's happy.
Yes.
The job is, well, no, there's learning objectives, we're improving people's lives, and making sure when a teacher uses it in the classroom, that teacher feels like that was time well spent.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's it. And that's something Nico always says as well, our executive creative director, for most people who don't know, is that it's always really important to consider, you know, the entertainment first, what makes games so exciting and what people get, you know, the most out of games is the excitement, and then not even knowing that they're learning at the same time. And I mean, this is pretty much an educational game, but most of our games are like that, and a lot of games for good are games like that, where you're having so much fun and you don't even realize that you're making a big impact or you're learning at the same time. So that's something that I think Chaos Theory does really well. Yeah, exactly what you're saying, Dean. But yeah, we're actually about to hit 5. So that was really fun, and I'm so sorry that I only got 1 star, and I to all the people in the Central Coast region. But I will do better next time, and this is really good for me to know. And I actually really like this graph that shows me exactly where I went wrong. And I mean, having your commentary as well in the background is really helpful to help me along in the game. But yeah, it was just it's always really exciting to do these streams, because not only am I learning a lot, and we're learning more about each other, but I think all of our viewers out there, whether you know it's 10 viewers or 100, it's really good to just have a sit down and chat about it in, you know, the most kind of wholesome way. So I mean, that's all I have for today. I'd really like to thank for everyone who tuned in. We really hope you found it insightful, and feel free to play Working with Water. It's available on the Central Coast website, and as well as our website. It's on any browser, and as long as you have the internet, you can play it. So thank you to our wonderful stars, Dean and Gabriella, and their beautiful Pokemon Mudkip and Poliwag, for joining us. As you can tell, they're water-based Pokemon trainers, so that's really cool. So yeah, I mean, excellent work. You know, you're actually helping the next generation of, you know, citizens become more responsible through this game and more aware. So it's pretty much what all KS series is all about. So well done with that, and everyone else who was involved as well. And Central Coast Council obviously wouldn't be a game without them. So big shout out to their team. And just before we sign off, just 2 things. A really exciting news is that we're thinking of launching more streams monthly, so it'll be more consistent. So it's really exciting. We'll be playing more of our games as well as playing other games for good out there. So you'll see more of us. I'm pretty sure in the months coming. And not only will we be having fun, we'll also be talking from our expertise on game development as well as design. So that's really cool, and I can't wait for everyone else to join us. And the one thing I wanted to give you both is you both get your own little ecosystem from the Central Coast. So I have photos as proof that I was actually there. So just in case you think I got this from downstairs in the dirt, but yeah, feel free to open it up a few times just to let the some of the condensation disappear. So that's what's really exciting. I was able to go down by Mangrove Creek and get them a little terrarium each, so they can keep that on their desks. So that's what I wanted to give out to them just before we sign off. But yeah, I mean, visit our website, chaostheorygames.com, if you want to get in contact, and follow us on Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And did I say Facebook? To stay up to date. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys had fun. Thank you. Yeah, you guys had fun. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.